Lately, I've been getting a whole lot of questions about my Damien Porter T-shirt. If you want to cop that T-shirt, definitely be sure to go to the T-shirts and more store.printify.me. The reason that I copped this T-shirt is because it got great graphics and the picture is nice and clear. Now, in order to get yourself one of these T-shirts, be sure to go to your preferred banking institution and withdraw the appropriate amount of funds to ensure that your transaction will be facilitated without any delays, impediments, or hinders. Now, also, of course, while you're there, you might want to cop you something else. They have a host of great T-shirts. They have a lot of vintage T-shirts from old sitcoms, old movies, and your favorite artists. It's just so much there, man. Definitely be sure to go to the T-shirts and more store.printify.me and be sure to use the promo code CHILL for your 15% off. You will not regret it. They have a bunch of T-shirts with several different designs among other things, and I guarantee you will find something that you like. Once again, that's the T-shirts and more store.printify.me. Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a pro violation. Yard down! Let's hop right up into this video where today I'm gonna do a reaction to the breakdown in footage of a riot that jumped off in a Nevada prison known as Eli. So anyway, the name of this channel is called Vegas Profile Stories. Let's hop right into it.
So let's start off a week before the attack happened. Muggsy, Anthony Williams, had just paid off a debt. He had owed upwards, I'm getting numbers anywhere from $400 to $4,000. It's funny how the numbers go up. It doesn't matter really to this story though, because he paid it off. It was squared. What was the debt for? I'll never know. I'll never ask. Money owed is money owed. It doesn't matter what it's for. The truth is, it doesn't mean anything good for me to even have that information. Just know it was a closed out debt. Meanwhile, back at the story, so one of the Sereno / Southsiders rolled up owing $40. Muggsy, he's not having it, I guess. He starts calling bros from the other tier times over to his door. He's getting loud about it. Next thing you know, perceived threats or threats are being yelled out of Muggsy's cell towards the Sereno's about this debt. Maybe things along the lines of "I'm gonna get you" or things like that were possibly yelled out. I don't know, I wasn't there.
Now keep in mind, I'm just reacting to the version that he's putting out, right? So in the event, if that did happen, this Muggsy dude became irate and started hollering threats outside the cell. That was definitely horrible diplomacy. That was definitely a bad way to try to manage that situation, because regardless of the individual that you're yelling at, whether he's right or wrong, and according to this story, that individual was not even here, but threatening to do bodily harm to anybody, especially an individual who's from another race, is definitely a recipe to kick off a war. So you know why he became so upset about $40, when I'm sure if that was the case, he could have went out there, talked to some of those guys, and they could have dealt with the situation and got it cleared up. Yeah, it was a bad way to go about dealing with it.
Anyway, it goes, from what I understand, Muggsy tries to have the bros on the first tier hit the Sereno's on the first tier. Now, the bros that are out at that time, the A-dubs that are out that time on the first tier time, well, they've been down for a long time. These dudes are respected. They've got back numbers that go way the hell back, much farther than me or Muggsy or Lil Dog or any of them. And they're like, no, we're not about to hit the Sereno's for a $40 roll-up, especially when you owed money. just a week ago. Muggsy is celled up with Little Dog at that time. And if you never met Little Dog is like, he's a warrior. That dude is about it. He just doesn't even care. He's agent of chaos. From what I'm understanding, maybe loud talking is being heard coming out of Muggsy's cell towards Big Mike. Now, Big Mike, he's one of the top SURENO'S. He's been down a long time. Big Mike, we'll talk about him in a minute. Anyway, it goes. Maybe words are said. I'm going to get you when the doors pop, that type of deal. Not really sure that's exactly how it went, but along those lines. So you have.
Now, he's saying that he's not sure that's how it went, but somewhere along those lines. Well, anything close to what he's talking about, once again, was a recipe for disaster. You know, to be screaming out the cell, talking about you're going to do bodily harm to anybody in prison, of course, is going to bring a reaction that is going to 10 times out of 10 lead to violence. So once again, you know, that's I don't know if that was just the way he went about it, because that's definitely not how things are done in California, man. You have to be more diplomatic. You know, you go talk to a person from that particular race or faction that owes you money, say, hey man, your homeboy owed me some money, whatever, you know, maybe give him a day or two to handle it, because $40 is something that could be paid quickly, you know. But whatever the situation is, you don't go about it threatening to do bodily harm to anybody.
2 woods that are downstairs. They open basically 10 cells at a time. It seems maybe 12 at the most. So you get like 5 or 6 upstairs and 5 or 6 downstairs, and they just cut the tier into thirds basically. Muggsy comes out of his cell. They're joking, laughing, kind of peacocking. Muggsy's walking by. One of the bros calls him over, warns Muggsy, says, hey, look, you can clearly see they're wearing body armor. Body armor being anything from trays from dinner, magazines, extra clothes, towels wrapped around your neck so that you can't get hit as easily, things like that.
So yeah, when I pause the video and I look at the footage, yeah, you can clearly see that they have some bulky type of stuff under their jacket. So that should have been, sign number 2 that something serious was about to pop. Like I said, sign number 1 should have already been, man, the disrespect of screaming out the door, talking about what you're going to do to another individual. You know, that's just something that's not going to be tolerated. And you can expect that, once again, 10 times out of 10 to be met with violence.
Clear the SURENO'S were wearing body armor this day. Muggsy blows it off. He blows it off, walks off. Everybody groups up downstairs. You can see Muggsy calls all the Woods, all the A-dubs over to the table furthest from the SURENO Southsiders, and they start talking. They're parlaying. You can see a heated discussion going on between Eric Janish and Muggsy. At that time, they're talking. You can tell things are tense, right? Nobody's really looking anybody's way from either side at this point. The Southsiders, SURENO'S, they don't want to tip it off that they're about to hit. And Muggsy, he's not taking it serious, and he's got Little Dog who's ready to go at all times, no matter what the situation. That's when it looks like Biscuit goes over and jumps on the phone. Muggsy follows behind him, walks past some of the Southsiders, and just back against the wall, leg up, and he's just looking around. He goes.
Now, that right there again is something that is extremely odd and puzzling to me, because anytime there's a tense moment in the California prisons going on, you know, that's the last thing an individual is worried about, is getting on that phone. You know, you have to be fully focused on what's going on. You definitely have to wait till the thing, you know, till it either gets resolved or it jumps off. So, you know, so to be on the phone at a time like this, once again, is something that's puzzling as well.
And he dabs one of the Southsiders up. Hey, what's up? He makes sure to dab each Southsider up on the way by that were on the phones. Everything's normal, right? Then there's a knock. A knock comes at the door that is in between the units, and it's for Muggsy. There's a kite slid under the door. The whole time, Eric Janish and Little Dog, they're still steadily not arguing, but they're having a heated discussion, you can tell. What that discussion is, no idea. As Muggsy's walking over to the door to get the kite, that's when Little Dog keys up and tells Dan to go guard. He wants him to go guard Biscuit, who's on the phone. So Dan goes walking off. Little Dog and Eric Janish, they start arguing again.
Now, when they initially grouped up at that table and started having the meeting, when I say they, I'm talking about the Aryan Warriors. I counted. It looked like it was about 8 of them. You know, it looked like it was eight of them. So as I'm watching this video, it seems like it is a decent amount of SURENO'S there. So once again, you know, their numbers are small, and so for them to be, you got 2 over here at the phone, you got a couple over here at the table. Muggsy is walking around like it's nothing happening. I think that was definitely a huge miscalculation and underestimation on his part.
Having heated discussion again. As Muggsy is walking back towards the phones, towards the Twin Towers is what I call them, Biscuit and Dan, you see Big Mike make his move. Big Mike slides his piece out and goes running right after Muggsy. After Muggsy walks by, here's Little Mike coming in behind him.
Now earlier, the guy who's telling these stories, he said that Big Mike was one of the dudes who was allegedly being threatened by Muggsy. So, yeah, you know, you're making threats, talking about what you're going to do. And so, of course, when the day room opens, this guy obviously and understandably took it personal. And so he went and armed up. And now in the video, you see he kicks off the attack trying to get Muggsy.
Muggsy sees or hears the footsteps, whatever it is, and it's on. Now, Little Demon, Connor Brown, he's the first one to see it going down. He hesitates, zero hesitation out of that man. He's young, 22 at the time, I believe. He's up, off the table, knife coming out. He's headed towards Muggsy. He sees it coming. Dan is back.
Now, let me rewind that video right there a little bit for you guys, man, that footage.
Make his move.
When the Aryan Warriors
slides his piece.
Let me rewind it to the part where the Aryan Warriors first see that Muggsy is being attacked, man. If you see instantly, man, those dudes automatically started looking down at their waistline. You know, obviously that's where they got their weapons secured at, and they're grabbing their weapons and they're running over there. So they instantly get cracking.
Peace out and goes running right after Muggsy. After Muggsy walks by, here's Little Mike coming in behind him. Muggsy sees or hears the footsteps, whatever it is, and it's on. Now, Little Demon, Connor Brown.
Now, this is the part right here that I was talking about. Now, watch how when these guys take off running over there, they pause for just a hot second, reaching down in their waistband, you know, to obviously get their knives.
He's the first one to see it going down. He hesitates, zero hesitation out of that man. He's young, 22 at the time, I believe. He's up, off the table, knife coming out. He's headed towards Muggsy. He sees it coming. Dan is backpedaling as Biscuit comes off the phone and just starts sticking fools. Muggsy's on the floor next to Biscuit. Biscuit's trying to get him off. And the most crazy part of it all is Little Dog. What Little Dog does. Now, Little Dog is at a big disadvantage because he is sitting with his back towards the cells so that he's looking out over the whole day room from this table position. For him to get to Muggsy, he has the hardest path. Let me tell you about a dude who ran full blast head on into a wall of SURENO'S with knives. Little Dog never hesitated. He was up, he was on it. He ran as fast as he could across the day room. He beat everybody across to Muggsy and just jumped into a wall of knives. The dude was a savage. Now, Eric Janish, he's been locked down since 1998. The dude's got like a 4-1 number and a 5-3 back number, right? He has literally expired every single sentence he's ever had. Now, to put that 5-8 back number into perspective, Muggsy has a 101 back number and Little Dog has a 106 back number. I myself, I have a 104 back number. 5'8". Like, that dude has been down a long time. So Eric, he's gained the right to be heard. He's gained the right. Nobody involved in this situation has been down longer than Eric Janish. So as I said, Big Mike's making this move. Little Dog comes charging in. Zero fucks given. The dude is just it was heroic. It was I've never seen anything really like that in real life. Like, this dude is cut from a different cloth. Then there's Kyle Trout, Solo. They call him Solo. Solo hesitates zero also. He runs right into danger. Basically backing up Biscuit, and then when he turns, he looks, he sees Eric Janish, Lil Sin, and Lee Mitchell. They're all in trouble. He takes off towards them. Lee Mitchell, I don't know. He went and sat in the corner and he got poked up by this dude. Like, he wasn't about that life. Everybody else moved forward. Lee Mitchell literally cowered in the corner and got himself stuck. So Solo and Biscuit are backpedaling and trying to fight. Biscuit hits the ground because he's hit dead in his leg, and he's scooting back. You have Little Sin, Connor Brown, and Eric Janish. They are wedging through the day room, basically, trying to keep people off of them. You have Little Dog. When Little Dog hits this wall, he's going for the dude he's going for. He gets the guy on the ground. Little Dog's on top of him. Little Dog is sticking this fool, and he's just, getting absolutely destroyed by knives from all sides. They're hitting him, and it's relentless. Little Dog was hit over 20 times. Now Dan, who was walking up as this happened, and backpedals, boom, hits the pole, turns around. He sees Lil Sin and Eric Janish being flanked. So he goes running towards Eric Janish, basically trying to get people off Eric Janish's back, while Little Sin is fighting 2 or 3 Southsiders. One of them he actually jumped on top of. At one point, he just bull rushed him, took him down, started sticking him. That was Smokey. And Smokey almost lost his life. Had Smokey not had his head on straight, he would have very easily lost his life, because he was hitting the artery, he was bleeding out, and it was bad. And that was due to him and Little Sin, and what happened between him and Little Sin that day. Now, the Sereno at this time that's hitting Lee Mitchell, who is curled up and scooting back in the corner, well, he stands up. He comes running across as Muggsy has made it to his feet and Little Dog has made it to his feet, and they are coming across the day room, and the Sereno that's hitting Lee Mitchell is backing up, and he doesn't realize he bumps into Muggsy and swipes at Muggsy. Now, I believe he misses Muggsy here, but Little Dog, he wasn't having it. He was right there, and he reaches out and he pokes that Sereno. That Sereno turns around. I don't know if he has a knife in his hand or if he has thrown a punch, but Little Dog, he was hit in his carotid artery, and he was losing blood quick. One of the Serenos in this had just a sword, basically, and we'll talk about that here in a minute too. But as Little Dog is hit, he just falls. He falls. He's lost too much blood. He's hitting his carotid artery, and he's hit over 20 times. A lot of them superficial. A lot of them weren't, though. So when Little Dog falls, the Sereno that was hitting Lee Mitchell that hit Little Dog runs up. Little Dog's trying to come back up off the ground, and he gets kicked in the face by that one. So they all back off. By now, the COs, they all have their pepper balls. They're pepper balling the hell out of the Serenos. They're hitting them in the head. They're headshotting these dudes. They spread everybody apart. And now you have this cluster of 8 A-Dub and Woods. And then along the back wall, you have all the Southsiders, Serenos. They're all laid down. Eric Janish goes straight into triage mode. He tries to triage Little Dog first, because he's the one that's on the ground, right? Eric Janish is the one who pulled Little Dog to safety, and now he had to triage himself because he was hit in the side really badly. So he had to tie himself off, almost create like a tourniquet, but not just pressured, try and keep the bleeding, keep himself from bleeding out. They were hit bad. That's when Lee Mitchell comes from around the corner, and Solo and Eric Janish and Lee Mitchell drag Little Dog over to the sallyport door. They open the sallyport door. All the COs leave the sallyport. They close the other side. They let them in. Well, Lee Mitchell sees this as his chance to get the fuck out of there, and he does just that. So they drag Little Dog in. Lee Mitchell, being a coward that he is, he just stays in there with Little Dog's now deceased body. The rest are closed back out in the day room. Eric, Janish, and Solo could have very easily done the same thing as Lee Mitchell, who cuffed up. They got Lee Mitchell out of there before they even got Little Dog. Before anybody got triaged, Lee Mitchell got out of that unit on some coward shit. Basically, he used Little Dog's dead body to get his way out of the unit. Now Muggsy is standing. He's got his hands on his hips. He's got his knife out. Eric triages. He's looking at Muggsy. Muggsy's hit. He's hitting the jugular. He's hitting the liver. He's hitting the kidney. He's in bad shape. He's been hit over 20 times too. Twice in the head. So Muggsy's standing there. He looks across the unit and yells, "Fuck all you motherfuckers."
Now, see that right there, I'm talking about this particular riot, man, was very deadly because it was in a confined space. It was in a building, and a lot of times riots jump off on the yard, but they also will occur in the building, and it makes it a little bit more dangerous because it's just so many people running past you, and you don't really have a whole lot of different places to move. Sometimes, in riots, man, some people hate to admit it, but sometimes you have to retreat, especially like I said earlier, it only appeared to be 8 of the ARYAN warriors, and so sometimes, man, a retreat is a move that you need to do, especially when dudes got knives and stuff everywhere, because the main thing is to try not to hit the ground. But when there's so many people coming from here and there, you got to watch your back. It's just, especially in a confined situation, it can turn out deadly.
That's when the Southsiders, Sereno side, they stand back up. They're coming for a second wave. Now the COs, they're aiming for the head. They start headshotting. Boom, 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 boom. I'll show you. There's welts on some of these Sereno's heads from these pepper balls. I mean, they were being destroyed by these COs and these pepper balls. So they back them off, and that's when Muggsy sits down. Now, as the Southsiders, Sereno's are coming in for the second wave.
And that's something that happens as well in California. Sometimes a riot will jump off, and you'll have several waves within one riot because no one wants to get down. Even though the police is hollering get down, the towers is hollering get down. When you get down, you are really making yourself vulnerable to be attacked again, to be kicked, to be stabbed, and so nobody wants to prone out and lay down because, like I said, it's just really putting your safety at risk.
Lil Sin kind of stumbles and crawls and pulls himself up the stairs to try and get away from it. Now in the middle of the stairs, there's a flat. Now Little Sin, he's standing on that flat holding the railing, and then he goes down. Little Sin is bled out. He was also hit in an artery, and he was bleeding. He was bleeding too badly. He was hit right here. He was hit in his carotid artery at the base, I believe, and you can see when he's hit, and Biscuit looks over and says, "Hey, where are you hit?" Lil Sin says, "Just right here. I'm just hit right here." He doesn't even know that he's bleeding out internally. That's when Solo and Eric Janish, they help drag alongside Dan, and they drag Lil Sin over to the sallyport door. Now the COs, they're not going to let the bigger group, the actual who's who, into this sallyport with knives. They're just not going to do it. So they're telling Eric, Solo, and them, "Hey, you got to throw the knives in," right? You see Biscuit, he throws a knife in. You see Eric Janish, he throws a knife in. They're doing whatever they need to, right? Except for Dan. Dan will not come off his knife. Dan has it wrapped. He is guarding Muggsy at this point, and they are doing CPR on Little Sin. So finally, the COs see them start to do chest compressions on Little Sin, on Connor Brown, and they clear the sallyport. After 2 knives are thrown in, they clear it, and they start dragging Little Sin in. As they drag Little Sin in, Eric Janish comes back out, and he grabs Muggsy. Now Muggsy has collapsed basically into his lap. While they are arguing with the COs to open the door, the sallyport door, at one point Muggsy goes out. You can tell he goes out of consciousness. He's laying on his back. Then he comes back to consciousness, and he puts his hands behind his head like this, like he's at the beach. It's the most wild thing. He just lays back. I believe this is when he knows that he was mortally wounded. Basically, he was drifting off. That's about when they open the door. So as they drag little Sin in, who is not responsive and not breathing, Eric comes back out with Dan. They grab Muggsy by the legs, and they start dragging Muggsy into the sallyport. Muggsy's head comes up, and he's aware. He's looking around, right? And they close the sallyport. This is finally when Dan comes off the knife. He just dumps it, but Dan was standing guard over Muggsy, and he was not going to get rid of the only thing that can save them if the pepper balls don't work on the third wave. So there's nothing wrong with what he did. Now, Lee Mitchell, he's already probably out the unit into the triage by now. They're working on Little Dog, who is hit all in his lungs, his spleen, and basically his carotid artery at the base has been severed. They're not able to save him. So everybody who can cuff up, cuffs up. Everybody who can't, they come in, they cuff Lil Sin and they cuff Muggsy, even though they are basically out, and Lil Sin's not even breathing, but they cuff him up anyway, and they drag them out. Then they come back in, they get Eric Janish because he's hit, and he's the one who's been triaging. Eric Janish went through it that day, and you could tell he had the respect of the SURENO'S. They all, even Big Mike walked by as they were let out of their cells, and Big Mike even gave him love, right? Eric Janish been down since 1998, and he had a parole date. He had a parole date coming up, and now that's all blown, and all this is going on right now.
Now that's a cold situation, and I've said many times on my channel that a lot of times when an individual gets into a riot or some type of fracas or whatever, a lot of times it's not because of something that you've done. It's just being a loyal homie, coming to the aid of one of your homies. Sometimes, man, riding with a car, because you're pretty much responsible for the actions of every individual in that car. And sometimes riding in a car will put you in a predicament where you just have, you have no choice. You have to perform due to your loyalty to that respective car. This dude was talking about this Eric Janish dude. I think he said his name was, he had been in prison since 98. And he was getting ready to go up to a parole hearing. And so I'm pretty sure now he will definitely get denied at that parole hearing. You can't go in front of the board with any recent violence in your file, or they're definitely going to deny you because they say, okay, basically you are still exhibiting criminal behavior.
As Muggsy is being loaded into the ambulance or the helicopter or whatever, he's still talking shit. That fool went out talking shit. And that's wild. He would come to consciousness, and that fool was just talking shit his whole way out. It was insane. I shouldn't laugh about it, but that's kind of who Muggsy is, right? Eric Janish, he tried to stop it. You can tell he tried to stop it from even happening. It had gone too far, and when it went too far, he knows whose side he has to protect. He knows what he has to do. He knows, and it sucks to be put in that position of, after doing 20 years, expiring each and every sentence that you have to the next consecutive sentence, and you finally got freedom coming up. It's a petty thing. Even the other bros were like, "Nah, I'm not involving. We're not doing that. We're not hitting SURENO'S for $40." It's crazy. It's crazy what Eric Janish had to go through, and to triage everybody and himself. He was mortally wounded also. Like Eric Janish very easily could have lost his life, and by the grace of God, he didn't. Eric, if you ever watch this, I know you're out now. Eric has paroled, finally, and I know what you went through is unimaginable. Even I can't even imagine, and just watching it just breaks my heart. And I hope one day you do find peace. I know what you had to go through. I watched what you had to go through. Let me put it that way. I don't know what you had to go through, because that is some next level stuff.
Now, once again, the name of this guy's channel is Vegas Profile Stories. And the name of the video is SURENO'S I believe, attack the ARYAN warriors, breakdown footage or something like that. So just check it out, Vegas Profile Stories. Unfortunately, in this particular incident, you had 3 individuals lose their lives. I believe they was all from the ARYAN warriors, and then you had a Sereno who was also critically injured, but I believe he ended up surviving. So this particular incident happened about a year ago, and so I thought it would just be interesting to do a reaction to his breakdown and his footage. And so if you happen to go to his channel and watch the rest of his story, he details the information on some of the participants in this riot, how much time they had, some were due to go home soon, how long they had been in prison, and also now the time that they were facing due to being caught up in this riot. Anyway, man, you already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.
90% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. 2 choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move. Whatever clique you choose, you better